What's up, mom and dad? Appreciate that contribution. Much appreciated. What up, Rubber Band? What up, She Loves Mo? What up, Summer? Condi, 13. Ferris Tower, peace. What up, Diggers with Gratitude? What up, Mo? Peace.
Peace, what's going on?
Hey, legend, how you feeling?
I'm all right. How you doing?
Man, I'm blessed. I'm with Milk D. I mean, I could be any place in the world, and you could be too, but you're here with me, and it makes for a great Monday.
Thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
No doubt. We're going to get to a little history lesson and then work our way up to what Milk D has currently going on right now in his life. This is episode 156 of History Lessons. I'm with the legendary Milk D from Audio 2. Thank you so much for joining me.
Thanks for having me. It's good to be here.
No doubt. For everybody who may not know, who forgot, or who may be new to you, can you take us back to where you were born and raised?
I was born and raised in Bed-Stuy, Brooklyn, New York. And I was raised there. And then when I was a teenager, I moved to Staten Island.
Dope. Take us back to the teenage years, Staten Island, Milk D. What was going on with you then?
It was crazy. A lot of the cats from Woo, I have my Woo shirt on. They were young and we all bumped heads. So I knew a lot of them before they started. And it was just like all of the rest of the boroughs. I got out here when I was about 16, I think. Yeah.
Take us back to some of the obstacles you may have been endured growing up in Staten Island. Any obstacles you had to overcome, you had to face growing up out there in Staten Island?
They didn't like us because they called us those Brooklyn niggas because we weren't from here. So, it was that. But, other than that, it was normal. We were pretty normal. But like I said, they didn't like us because we were the strangers. And
Right.
And not to mention, there were certain areas where we couldn't go on Staten Island. Black people wasn't allowed. So, yeah.
Before getting into music, what was Milk D's earlier influences? Who were you listening to before you got into music personally?
Okay, so when I heard the Busy Bee, Kumo D battle tape, it was a mixtape. It had them and the Cold Crush Brothers on it. That was when I fell in love with hip hop, and that's when I decided that I wanted to be a rapper. Before I came out, I listened to them, Cold Crush, Kumo D. I'm the biggest Run DMC fan, LL Cool J, the Def Jam, the Def Jam family, and Beastie Boys.
Throughout your teenage years, what other interests did Milk D have?
Well, when I was small, I wanted to be an actor. So I used to do a lot of plays and stuff before music. But once I started music, it wasn't anything else that I wanted to do. It's funny, I had a conversation with somebody today, and they asked me, well, what would you do if you could do something else? I couldn't think of anything. So this is it. This is what I love.
So coming out of your house, Staten Island, what did you see firsthand before you got into music, music-wise? What was the scene like? What was Milk D seeing as far as hip-hop and as far as embracing it and wanting to be part of the culture?
So I was a little young, so I couldn't go to a lot of the clubs and stuff. But I used to really hunt for the mixtapes and listen to the music. I used to listen to WHBI with Mr. Magic and Marley Marl, stay up till 3 in the morning to record hip hop off of those stations. And back then, we had hip hop like twice a week. I think actually, when I first started, I think we only had hip hop on one station Friday nights for a few hours. And then soon after that, it became Friday and Saturday. And then we had Mr. Magic and them. But it's crazy. Like now, when you listen to the radio, it's all hip hop. Back then, that was a no no. It's like we had a little time on Friday night to listen to hip hop. That was it.
Right. So personally, how did you get involved? A lot of MCs would say graffiti, DJing, breakdancing. For Milk D personally, what was your first foray into hip hop?
Well, like I said, once I heard that Kumo D, Busy B battle, that's when I decided that I wanted to be a rapper. So I started writing and, DJing. So I had all the break beats and stuff and just practicing every day, all day.
Earlier on, were you pursuing a solo career or were you in groups earlier on?
No, I was always in groups, always. And it was
Uh,
always me and Giz. We were in a group before where it was more of us, but then it just came down to me and Giz.
there's a lot of misconceptions as far as your relationship with Giz. Can you relate to the people, half brother, full brother? What's your relationship with Giz?
Giz is my brother. Same mother, same father.
What were you saying earlier on with Giz, and how did you guys formulate Audio 2 earlier on?
We were just looking for a name, and that's the name that we came up with together. But I think our individual names kind of expressed our how we are personally. Giz was always technical, and he could fix anything, the turntables, whatever was broke, he would fix it. That's how we came up with Gizmo. As far as Milk, I was looking for something that was unique that no one else would dare to use. So that's what I came up with.
Audio 2, your first name?
Uh, we was the Scratch Masters before that. Impromptu MCs, that was one, and then Audio 2.
Can you take us back to before the record deal? What was Giz and Milk D doing to get your name out there? What kind of dues were you guys paying?
We were DJing. We were doing block parties. We had some block parties in Brooklyn that we used to do every year, and that was my opportunity to touch the mic. So I knew during the summer when we were DJing the block parties, I would always get to rhyme. That's what it was back then. Block parties, MCs.
Right. Before the like I said, the label deal, where you guys happened to do the Latin Quarters, was that like the battleground for you guys? Rooftop?
Latin. We did Rooftop as well, but we were a little late for Rooftop. We did it a few times, but Latin Quarters, I remember one summer we did Latin Quarters 18 times in that one summer. Yeah, so that was our place where we broke the record and broke our careers. Latin Quarters. So that was it. It was we did mad shows at the Quarters.
Right. What about Union Square? Any good Union Square stories?
That was Union Square closed right before we got started. Giz is a little older than me, so he used to go to Union Square, but I never made it to Union Square. I was too young.
Right. At what point did you guys start getting serious and start doing the demo thing?
Okay, so there was they had this contest, a rap contest. It was called something like Clean Up New York, and it was all about getting the graffiti, off the trains and stuff like that. So they had a contest, and I decided that I wanted to be in this contest, that I was just gonna go ahead and win this rap contest. So a friend of mine, King of Chill, who is one of our producers at First Party Music, he produced a lot of light stuff and some of our stuff as well. He had a record deal with, I can't remember the name of the label, but it was a small label. The name of the song was The Beast Within. It was about police brutality. So he was the only person that I knew. We all went to Brooklyn Tech. So he was the only person I knew that actually had a record out. And I told him, and we were friends, so I told him I wanted to enter this rap contest. and he took me to Richard Lee. Now, Richard Lee there's a group called Clear. They had a song called Intimate Connection. So Richard Lee is one of the members of Clear. He took me to Richard Lee's house. He had a studio, and that was my first exposure to a recording studio. And I recorded the demo there with King of Chill for the contest. Now, I sent it into the contest, and of course I didn't win, even though I knew I was gonna win. And but we started taking it to record companies, just dropping it off all up and down Broadway. All of the record companies were there. I'll never forget. I went to Next Plateau Records. That was they had Salt and Pepper, and I think his name is Eddie O'Loughlin. I'll never forget. He was like, "Oh, this sounds like a commercial." No, we're not interested. But I ended up sending it to. They had this show on Medgar Evers College radio where people were sending their demos and they would play them, and people would call up and rate them, and they would play them in the order. So I sent it there, and they started playing it, and like in a couple of weeks, it became #1, and it was #1 for a few weeks. And I called my father, and I was like, they're playing my demo on the radio, 89.1, Brooklyn. And that's when he realized that I was really serious, and which is the main thing for him. It's like, if you could prove to him that you were serious, then he would support you. But the talk was cheap. So after that, he took more of an interest and started helping us.
How did you guys land at MCM Records earlier on?
Okay, you're leading right into it. Well, what you know about MCM? So my father used to be a club promoter. He had a lot of popular clubs in the 70s, and there was another promoter named Elmo the Magic Christian. He was a rival club promoter, but my father knew him and they were friends. So he started an independent label called MCM, Magic Christian Music. And right around that same time, like I said, when my father started taking us serious, he said, I have a friend, he got an independent label, let's go over there. So he took us to his house, and I played him the songs and stuff. And he said that he was doing a Christmas record. And, y'all could be on the Christmas record. So that was how we got exposed to MCM. And what happened is, my father was basically funding the project, and we were doing all of the legwork. So we got to the point where it was like we were sitting in the car one day in front of a record store, and we said we might as well start our own label. And that's what inspired us to start First Priority Music.
Very dope. If we can backtrack just a step, what kind of reaction did A Christmas Rhyme and Audio 2's Jam receive?
Okay, so A Christmas Rhyme, it was a Christmas record. So it came out, and Chuck Chillout, he was playing it. So it got some play. He still plays it to this day during Christmas time. He was the first one to play it. So it got a little bit of run, but it was limited because he could only play it at Christmas. So that was the story of that. We got good play on it. I would say that I wouldn't say it launched us like a rocket, but it got us out there.
Right. So take us back to the early formulation of First Priority Music. You said your dad started taking interest, and he funded this company on his own?
Yes.
Okay. Take us back to the early formulation. What were you saying earlier on?
So my father's an entrepreneur. He had lots of businesses, and like I said, he did the clubs, but he also had other businesses, not to mention he had a really good job. So, which is why he was able to fund it. But we used to just sit around and plan. We used all of the lessons that he learned from his previous businesses and applied it to the music business. And one of the things that we came up, number one, the first thing that we came up with was the stickers. We were the first record company to actually put up stickers. And we also figured that since we didn't have a major record label budget, that we would actually use the records to promote the records. We give away the records, which is something they didn't really do back then as well. So our whole thing was we just went and gave out records, as many records. So my father pressed. We did our first record was a flip. It was a flip flop mini album where it had Audio 2 on one side and Alliance on the other side. King of Chill was in the Alliance. That was his group. And that was our first release that we did. And, you know, we got a little success on that. But our second record that we released was Make It Funky, B-side, top billing, and Light's first song, I Cram to Understand You. So my father pressed up, I think it was like 50,000 copies between the both. They were in the living room. And we just, every day, we would send them out to the college radio stations, all the radio stations. We go to Latin Quarters and give them the Red Alert and Chuck Chill Out and, you know, Mr. Magic and Marley Marl. And that's what we did. That's how we broke it. But the funny thing is when we first released those songs, we got a lot of resistance. They, you know, one of the comments was, "Oh, it's just a beat. He sounds like a girl." They used to say Light sounded like a boy. And it took us a year to break those songs. Yeah, we are going to be releasing First Dead Indian soon. I saw that comment.
No doubt. At what point did the Atlantic distribution come into play?
Just like most record companies, after we got it popping and it was bubbling, then we started getting interest from the major labels. The irony is we shopped it to Atlantic. That was one of the labels that we shopped it to before we released it. And they weren't interested. But, of course, after we got it popping, they were down. And that was the first hip-hop distribution deal at Atlantic that Sylvia Rhone signed.
When you seen the reaction, what was the feedback you were getting when Make It Funky and Top Billin' dropped?
They, like I said, they said it was whack. Especially Top Billin', because you got to remember back at that time, you know, MCs, you know, Melly Mel, they all had that Melly Mel, that deep voice. So my voice being high pitched and softer, that was very unusual. And also they were like hip hop song. A lot of the hip hop songs were musical. They were like replays of old samples with bass lines and stuff. Run DMC had Sucker MCs that was just a beat. But other than that, it was more musical. So when they heard Top Billin', the Hickeys, that's my joint too. It says Hickeys, best song ever. So when they heard Top Billin', it was weird because it was just a beat. That was one of the comments I always got, just a beat.
Right. What involvement did Daddy-O from Stetsasonic have with Top Billin', and what was your relationship with him like at that time?
So Daddy-O was my mentor. He was somebody that I met. Of course, you know the Stetsasonic records was dope. So he used to come over and teach me stuff and listen to the music. And he was the producer on Make It Funky. So and he's also a producer on Top Billin'. You know, a lot of people don't really understand what production is. They think if you make the beat that you're the producer. I made the beat for Top Billin', but Daddy-O we co-produced it together. And production isn't necessarily making the beat. Production is overseeing the project and making sure all the right elements, you know, like Quincy Jones, are in the song. And that's what Daddy-O did.
Right. Earlier on, you mentioned MC Light. Positive K was also a part of the First Priority Music family. Can you talk a little bit about your relationship with Light and Positive K and how they made their way over to First Priority Music?
Paz, we met Paz through Lumumba Carson. He was in
X-Clan.
X-Clan. He was in the pink caddy. That was Lumumba. So we met Paz through Lumumba, and he came and played some stuff, and we thought Paz was dope. So we released his first single was Quartergram Pam, That was the A side, and so we released it. And Light, one of the MCs from Alliance, he was familiar with Light, and he brought her over, and I did the first day I met her, I did Cram to Understand You.
Very dope. Also on that label, Michi Me, LA Love, Soul Shock. How did they also come over to First Priority?
Michi is from Canada. So Ivan, her manager, he presented her to us. And the thing with us, we were always looking to do new and unique things. So, you know, a hip hop reggae artist from Canada was right up our alley because it was unique and it was different. Now, Soul Shock, yeah, happy birthday, Positive. Soul Shock was from, where is he from? Denmark. So we were overseas touring, and we met Soul Shock, who was a great DJ, and we signed him. He ended up being a huge producer. Soul Shock. He produced Britney Spears and some other people as well.
Right. So I believe 87 Top Billin' is out. At this time, is there a buzz going into your debut album? Did it ever catch on fire?
Yeah, well, like I said, we actually released it in 86, and it took us a year to break it. So it was popping by 87, and you know, it was really popping by 87. And excuse me, I think the album was released in 89. So we like ran with that for a year and started working on the new record on the album, and that was released in 89.
Okay. Take us back to your debut album. Here you are getting ready for your first time with a major label debut. What was your train of thought going into your debut album, and what were you hoping to accomplish?
Well, me individually, I always wanted to do unique, different stuff, to be creative and be as crazy as I wanted to be. So that was my approach to it. Like, I wanted to, and if anybody that knows the first album, you'll know that there's a whole lot of different crazy, innovative stuff. You know, it wasn't an album full of top billings or anything for that matter. Everything was different.
Right.
What's going on with my phone? Okay. So that was my approach to creating it. And we were all on the same page with that. I'm sorry, what was the second part of that question?
What were you hoping to accomplish, as well as what kind of conversations did you and Giz have as far as the direction you guys wanted to go?
Well, we were clear. Hold on, what is going on with my phone? We were clear on the direction that we were trying to be creative and innovative. So that was basically approach. And just like any other artist, you know, we wanted it to be huge, and we wanted to, you know, make a mark.
Right.